Okay, we're going to pick up here and finish off the disposition analysis here. So let's look at what we got. We finished the last video with looking at the 5 years worth of information. So here's the stuff we were examining. Here's the IRR that we looked at. Here's the NPV that we calculated. And so now we're going to look at some additional information. Let's see what we got first. This area here shaded is basically a series of what ifs. What if we sold it in year 5? We would get $8,343,000. What if we sold it in year 6? It should be worth $8,836,000, and that's coming from the next year's NOI divided by the cap rate, so the exit cap. And you can see the formulas and the cells that it's linking to. And so these numbers highlighted here are just what would this sell for in that particular year, in year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8, year 9, and year 10. And the same thing with the loan payoff. What would the loan payoff be in those particular years? And this is just driven by the formula. Again, the future value formula where we have the rate, the number of periods, the payment information, and the present value. We looked at that in the last video, so I won't belabor it. The only thing that's changing between these cells is the number of periods that we've been paying on our loan. So obviously the loan is going down the loan payoff is going down each year as we pay more on the loan, more towards the principal. So you can kind of see that these two, the price is going up over time, the loan value is going down, or the loan payoff is going down over time. And these are all what if we did it in that year kind of numbers, right? We couldn't stick all of these numbers in one calculation, one return calculation, because we're not going to sell this over and over and over and get all that money. This is just what if we sold it in year 5, what if we sold it in year 7, what if we sold it in year 10, what would it be worth? And so that's what we're doing right here in this new 5-year hold. What would a new buyer's return be if they paid out of pocket the amount of money that we're getting at the end of 5 years? So this number, let's just look at where it's coming from. They're buying it for $8,343,000. That's the price that we're selling it for at the end of year 5. And the assumption here is that they can take over our loan. They can assume our loan. So their out-of-pocket equity would be the $3,635,000, which again is the sum of those two numbers. So if they stuck in $3,635,000 and then collected the NOI, the net cash flow for the next several years, I said NOI, it's NOI less the debt service, and then in year 10 they sold the property, paid off the loan, right? So it's been going down in value over time. What would their return be? And so over the subsequent 5 years, so that is years 6 through 10, their return would be a 16 IRR, and the NPV, if we're discounting it at 18.5%, would be negative. They shouldn't be buying it if their required rate of return is 18.5%. Now let's change our viewpoint real quickly and look at this as a rebuy or a repurchase analysis. So instead of looking at what the next buyer's returns would be, this is in effect looking at what our returns are for the next 5 years. So for years 6 through 10, this is what our returns are. We're in effect giving up $3,635,000 by not selling it, and so it's as if we are reinvesting that amount of money. And then these would be our cash flows over the subsequent 5 years. This would be our return for the second 5 years, for year 6 through 10. It doesn't meet our return requirement. It doesn't meet our threshold. So we shouldn't hold this for an additional 5 years. It doesn't meet our return requirements. The first 5 years do, right? We calculated that before, so it's a good acquisition. But there's a point in time where we want to sell this thing because somewhere in the second 5 years, it's not doing what it should be doing as a building for us. And so if we just stopped there, we would say, okay, let's hold this for 5 years. Let's not hold it for the second 5, so we sell it at the end of year 5. So that's looking at a 5-year hold, looking at a subsequent 5-year hold. Now the last thing we're going to do is look at 1 year at a time. A marginal rate of return is the way we would describe that. And so this here, in this little area right here, we're going to look at what if we hold it not for an additional 5 years, but for 1 additional year. So for the 6th year, and you can see that notation is here. We're holding it for the 6th year. So the analysis is similar to what we did with the new 5-year hold. Our foregone cash flow is the $3,635,000 that we forego, that we don't get by selling the building. So it's as if we're reinvesting that amount of money. If we hold it for that 6th year, we collect the 6th year's net cash flows of $175,000, and then we can sell it at the end of the 6th year, and that's going to give us the $8,836,000 in the disposition amount, and we're going to have to net out the loan payoff of $4,515,000. We're left with $4,321,000. So here's our total cash flow at the end of that 6th year. This is what we are not collecting. This is the cash flow that we're foregoing. It's our opportunity cost, in other words. We can look at the IRR of this calculation, and lo and behold, that's a 23.7. That beats our 18.5% return. So in this sense, we would say, you know what? The second 5 years isn't good, but the 6th year, all by itself, is good. It has a good return. It meets our threshold, beats our threshold. So we should hold it for a 6th year. Now let's do the 7th year, and I'm going to stop and let you do the rest. So the foregone cash flow in the 7th year is just going to be, I'm going to put this negative and link to this cell right here. We're not selling it in at the end of the 6th year, so we're foregoing $4,321,000. The cash flow that we would get if we held it for the 7th year is going to be the $214 in operations. If we sell the property, the net sales proceeds are going to be the sales price less the loan payoff, and so we would collect $4,746,000. My total cash flows are going to be the sum of all of these numbers, and so we're giving up $4,300,000, but we're collecting almost $5 million by holding it that 7th year. Well, what's the return for that 7th year? I'm just going to do the IRR, quick and simple calculation, and it turns out 14.8% per year. Sorry, 14.8% for that year. For the 7th year, my return is only 14.8%. So it's at that point where I would say, you know what, that doesn't meet it. I don't want to hold it for the 7th year. I should sell it at the end of 6. So, and I'll let you do these other 3, years 8, 9, and 10. You'll see that the returns go progressively down with the given assumptions that we have. So selling at the end of year 6 is the right decision. And we'll talk more about this in class. So yeah, this is just to kind of fill in some of the gaps. It's very hurriedly put together, so it's not the greatest video ever. I apologize for the low production value, but it's there to kind of fill in. It's not an exhaustive video to teach you everything. It's just to kind of help remind you what we went over in class. So I'm going to stop it here, and I'll see you later.